Yo, what's up guys, and welcome to a special edition of the Primetime Football League post-game show, where today we're going to be recapping everything that happened during the regular season in this league. We're going to be looking at the final standings, we're going to be looking at the final statistics, looking to see who won MVP and all sorts of awards, so we got a lot on deck, so buckle up, we are going on a ride. We're going to start off by looking at Week 17, because there were a couple of key matchups we highlighted during the Week 16 post-game show, where I said the Falcons were in a must-win situation. They actually lost to the Saints in an absolute shootout that put their playoff spot in jeopardy. That meant the Vikings, if they won, they were in. As you see, the Carolina Panthers, they won their game against the Buccaneers. That gave them the NFC South Division. But if you look at the Vikings, they got blown out by the Chicago Bears, and that meant that the Falcons got the final wildcard spot in the NFC. And then the AFC, I actually made a mistake and said that the Chiefs had clinched their conference and their division against the Raiders. And apparently I was wrong. And so was the Chiefs guy. The Chiefs guy thought that he had clinched his division and his conference and all that, and rested his starters against the San Diego Chargers. They lost, the Raiders won, and as you guys are going to see, the Raiders actually ended up with the #1 seed in the AFC, as we're going to transition into the standings right here, and it was some weird tiebreaker. I don't know what the tiebreaker was, because they finished with the same exact division record, same exact conference record, I believe, and they also split the season series against each other, so it was very weird how that ended up happening. And also, the fact that the Chargers won that game gave them the final wildcard berth in the standings, and if they had lost that game, I believe the Miami Dolphins might have actually ended up with that #6 seed that the Chargers ended up with. So definitely interesting what happened there. And then in the NFC, as I've explained before, the Falcons got that final spot, the Vikings blew their chance, the Panthers won their division, and we're gonna look at the final division standings really quick. You guys I've already seen most of these from the post-game show. The Bengals had a pretty good season, 9-7, but not good enough to make the playoffs. This division might actually be even worse in this game than it is in real life. The Titans ended up 8-8 and ended up in the wildcard thing, but they actually won their game during wildcard weekend, which is kind of weird. As you see, the Patriots, they ended up 10-6. They won their division barely, but they lost in the playoffs. The Raiders, 14-2, ended up on top. The Chargers, 3 teams from that very tough AFC West, ended up in the playoffs. And then you see the NFC, the Lions, who you guys saw the last game we played, we beat the Lions in the divisional round. The Packers, 13-3, actually lost during the first round of the playoffs. The Falcons, who beat the Packers, I believe, and then the Panthers lost, even though they had a pretty good season. They got to a really hot start, those Panthers did. And then, of course, the Eagles and the Seahawks looking very good at 15-1 apiece. And as you guys probably know, we will be seeing the Eagles in the NFC Championship game. So now we're going to go and check out some statistics. When I say some, I mean we're going to check out a lot. I know you guys are very interested to see what's going on right here. So we're going to start off by looking at our own team, the Seahawks. We're going to look at what we did individually as a team, and then we're going to look at everything that happened around the NFL. You see Boykin from that one game, pretty good statistics right there. Russell Wilson, I wish the turnover ratio between him, 24 touchdowns, 18 interceptions, could have been a little bit better. We did have some bad games where he had like 3 to 4 interceptions. Otherwise, not a bad season for Wilson. He was a good game manager for us. The rushing was very poor for us, to say the least. We had a lot of fumbles. We didn't get a lot of yardage, not averaging a lot. This is what I mentioned. We're not a good rushing team. Russell Wilson was, maybe our best rusher. We rushed away him a lot. Rawls and Procise couldn't get a lot going behind our offensive line. And then you see the receiving, where Jimmy Graham led our team in touchdowns. Curse led our team in receptions. Jimmy Graham led in yardage as well. Curse and Graham both made the Pro Bowl. I have no idea how Jermaine Curse made the Pro Bowl. By the way, I would show you guys who made the Pro Bowl for like everyone, but that's not out until Pro Bowl weekend, which is a week away, so I can't show you guys that. One more thing to note, this guy Andre Johnson, I signed him after Paul Richardson got hurt in that last game of the season. We put Richardson on IR, and I figured, let's get some wide receiver depth, and I saw Andre Johnson in free agency. I was like, you know what, why not? Let's see if we can get Andre Johnson a ring real quick. So Andre Johnson's along for the ride. We check out our defense. You see Bobby Wagner led our team in tackles. A lot of our secondary contributing as well here. Tackles for loss. A lot of people were contributing for this Seattle defense. Wright, Wagner, Morgan, Averill, all these guys on the defensive line. Michael Bennett, a little bit silent in some of these stats. You would think Michael Bennett may be the best player on that front seven for the Seahawks, but, he didn't have those outlandish stats or anything like that. Instead, Morgan and Averill both made the Pro Bowl by getting a lot of sacks. And then the interceptions, there was no one player that really stood out on this defense besides, oddly enough, Mike Morgan, who's like one of the worst overalls. But it was just a great team contribution where a lot of people got interceptions. Jeremy Lane led the team with 7, and a lot of those are user picks that I got with Jeremy Lane. It wasn't really that Lane was doing anything crazy, but everyone else, you know, they were contributing a lot. You guys can see that the forced fumbles, I believe Mike Morgan had 5, and he also had 3 recoveries. And then a lot of people got touchdowns on this team. No one got 2 touchdowns, but a lot of people got 1 touchdown each on this Seattle secondary. So we did pretty good right there. We're gonna check the kicking, where Hauschka was a beast, man. Made most of his extra points and definitely most of his field goals. Had one of the best kicking years in the league. And then we don't really care about punting stats. We'll just go over that real quick. Never really returned too many kicks with this team. Try to return punts. We got called for flags a lot of times when we return punts, but we returned punts. We did very well. Look at our average return yardage. And then we did get a touchdown during that week 1 game with Tyler Lockett, I believe, against the Miami Dolphins. Now let's go check out those league-wide stats and see who ended up on top. Remember when I said Andy Dalton was close to getting a 5,000 yard passing season? He did come close, but unfortunately, not close. Not quite. And then Jared Goff, the rookie, looks really good. He had a good year, except, 57 interceptions. That's not good. Stafford over 4,000. Brady with a great year. Osweiler just got over 4,000. Bortles just missed the cut, unfortunately. Derek Carr a little bit below. And the one thing you'll notice about these quarterback plays is that the best teams didn't have exactly the best passing records. Like, you guys will see Russell Wilson's down there, Carr's a little bit down there, Carson Wentz with the Eagles is down there, and Matt Ryan, who made the playoffs. Those guys didn't all appear on the top of the list or anything like that. So these might be a little bit inflated stats, maybe you can say. The touchdown leaders, a little bit more the better players around the league, like Brady, Carr, Rivers, Stafford, all guys that made the playoffs. But then you guys see Bortles, Goff, guys like that who didn't really have too good of years. Interceptions, this is definitely a type of thing you will not see in real life. Quarterbacks throwing these many interceptions. This is a Madden thing. So many guys threw interceptions. I thought I threw a lot. When you guys saw Russell Wilson at 18, we have one of the least around the league when it came to starting quarterbacks. Some of these guys were throwing ridiculous amount of interceptions. Like, when you think about it, Jared Goff averaged over 3 interceptions per game. I really don't know how you do that. I mean, you might have a bad offensive line, but I really don't know how you throw that many interceptions per game. And even Andy Dalton, who had one of the most touchdowns and most yardage and all that, also threw a lot of interceptions that kind of killed the team. Now we go to the rushing leader, Isaiah Crowell. I did say he might sit out Week 17's game. Apparently he didn't, and not only did he not sit out, he almost got 2,000 yards rushing. Apparently had a monster Week 17. As we look down here, Wendell Smallwood, great rookie year. Jeremy Langford, second-year running back. Apparently they play with Langford more in that team and not Jordan Howard. Devontae Freeman, Tree Archer. When we played against the Saints, this Tree Archer was killing it. I'm not surprised he went over 1,000 yards, even though it looks like a little bit of an anomaly. As you see, Derrick Henry, the rookie right there for the Dolphins, getting a lot of carries. He went over 1,000 yards. Melvin Gordon barely got over. Jamal Charles barely. And a couple of guys just missed it. Bell, Anderson, Paul Perkins, the rookie for the Giants, had a pretty good year. And Todd Gurley surprisingly struggled, probably because of that offensive line and probably because Jared Goff threw a lot of interceptions as well. Touchdown leader, Jonathan Stewart still ran away with that record. 21, great year for him. Murray ended up with 18. Henry ended up with 18. Blunt pounded it in 14 times. And you guys see down the list right here, all these different guys. The fumble list is definitely going to be dominated by quarterbacks right here. Mariota lost it 14 times. This is all quarterbacks getting hit in the pocket or stuff like that. Not really any quarterback running the ball. Tree Archer, as you might expect, had 4 fumbles or whatever. So that is the running back thing right there. Now we go to the receivers. Brandon Coleman ended up leading receivers in receptions, which is kind of weird. You wouldn't expect that name. AJ Green finishes 2nd, Will Fuller 3rd, Odell 4th, the injured Gronk 5th, the injured Amari Cooper 7th, Des Bryant. So that was a little bit, that's not really too important of a stat. What is important is this one right here. I mentioned AJ Green had a slight chance to break the record for most receiving yardage. Almost did it, man. Almost did it. 9,050. That might be like 12 yards short of Calvin Johnson's all-time record. Came really, really close to a 2,000 yard season and breaking the record. Amari Cooper probably would have done it if he didn't get hurt, as we're going to look down the list right here. A lot of guys with great receiving yardage seasons. Now, that's a lot of quarterbacks airing it out, and then, of course, the quarterbacks threw interceptions trying to hit these guys. So you can look at it whatever way you want. Jarvis Landry apparently ended up on the Bengals as well. I really don't remember that happening, but he went over 1,000 yards. As you see, Tyrell Williams over 1,000, Steve Smith Sr. and potentially his final season went over 1,000 yards. So shout out to him. And then you guys see some guys like Moncrief, Eifert, Michael Thomas just ended up missing out. Thomas, though, great rookie year. going to almost 1,000 yards. I believe he actually hit over 1,000 in real life. And then the touchdown leader by far, Amari Cooper with 23. Odell, showing up all over these stats. Marvin Jones, Travis Benjamin, the guy with the Chargers apparently spread that rock around. Our boy Jimmy Graham. You guys won't see many of these Seahawks standing out in these, touchdowns or anything like that, or even defensive stats. It's just that we had a great team effort. So shout out to our guys right there. Now we move on to the defensive stats, where Rolando McClain did end up leading the league in tackles by far. Sua Cravens, the rookie for the Redskins, looking very promising, man. Second in tackles, 9 tackles for loss. That's really, and 4 interceptions. This guy had one heck of a year. Bright future coming out of USC. And then it was a good mix of, guys like Eric Reed, a safety, Amos, a safety, who plays for the Bears in real life, but apparently got traded to the Redskins. Sean Lee, linebacker, and all that. A good mix of guys getting tackles and stuff like that. Tackles for loss, where you're really making your money, stopping that run. Calais Campbell, year in and year out, a beast for the Cardinals, does it once again. And then you see Jadeveon Clowney really stepping up this year for that team. J.J. Watt, he's healthy, but he's on the Redskins somehow. A lot of trades happen. And this must have been a monster trade for the Redskins to get J.J. Watt. But unfortunately for the Redskins and for the Texans, it didn't work out for either of them, because neither of them made the playoffs. And then the sack leader ended up being Barkevious Mingo. Out of nowhere, this guy came out, took the lead, ended up getting it, but did not break Strahan's all-time record. Neither did Khalil Mack. See, Dunlap had a great year. Bosa might be the defensive rookie of the year with that thing. We'll check those, stats or their awards eventually. Aaron Donald, he's a beast every year. Mike Morgan, random standout. J.J. Watt. Imagine if the Texans had J.J. Watt. Simon, that guy with a lot of tackles for loss, and Jadeveon Clowney. That's just... Oh man, I'm sure anybody that played the Texans is glad that those guys both weren't united on the field. As you see, Luke Kuechly led the league in interceptions with 14. Nolan Carroll, a little unknown name, coming through with 12. He's been around the league for a little bit, but not really a standout corner. And that's a little bit of a theme you guys might see around here. Not really the best players getting interceptions, just guys getting them. Ricardo Allen, Blake Martinez, don't even know who this guy is. He's a rookie apparently. I honestly never heard of him in my life. Ed Reynolds, never heard of this guy either, but he got 9 interceptions. Jimmy Smith, a lot of ball hawks out there. You guys saw how many interceptions the quarterbacks threw. That means there's a lot of interceptions to be taken by these ball hawking secondaries around the league, and linebackers as well. You see the Browns having a lot of standout guys. The Eagles having a lot of guys with interceptions. Even the Giants showing up a lot. And you guys saw we didn't really have anybody that led crazy with interceptions, but we got a lot. And then interception return yardage, which I guess is a cool stat. Jimmy Smith, Landon Collins, whoever that guy is, shout out to him, I guess. And most forced fumbles. I believe you're gonna see a lot of Raiders out here. Bruce Irving, Khalil Mack, Carlos Dunlap had a lot. Eric Berry from the safety position popping boys 3 times to force fumbles. Eric Reed himself also popping dudes in the secondary. The recoveries, which is really a fluky stat, not really going to look at that too much. Return yardage on these. Some guys, they made the most out of it, including Miles Jack. Miles Jack, didn't really do much in real life since he's, coming off injury and all that. But in this game, he's healthy and doing big stuff, including getting 2 defensive touchdowns, returning the fumbles, I believe. I might have been both of them. Brandon Flowers got 2. Nobody got 3 defensive touchdowns, but a lot of guys got 2 as you guys look down the list. And then, a billion people got 1. I could go down all day and see who got 1 defensive touchdowns, and I think I'm actually going to do that because we're going pretty far down here. Let's see everybody that got a defensive touchdown. Right. It's got to end sometime. Here it is. There we go. Finally ends with B.J. Goodson of the Giants. Oh, I believe he's a rookie. I don't even know. That's my team, the Giants. Oh, actually, we'll look at the kicking real quick. Usually kicking you want to skip over, but I got to show off my boy, Hauschka, man. Hauschka had one hell of a year. 92%, only missed 2. That's really good with the old man in kicking. You see some people really struggle. Bullock always 72%. Blair Walsh 73%. The longest field goal of the year was 62 yards by McManus. Did not break the all-time record this year. But a lot of guys booming kicks from very far away. Tucker, of course, is a beast every year. But apparently in this game, the guy who controlled Tucker struggled a lot. So, yeah, I guess that's the thing. We're not going to look at punting at all. The return yardage and stuff like that, a little bit interesting. Sometimes this is just about, who returns the ball at the end zone the most times. But you got to check the averages and the touchdowns. That's a little bit more telling of who really killed it on the return game. You see some random guys returning kicks. Like some guys you wouldn't expect in real life. Mike Wallace took one back. Emmanuel Sanders. Tyreek Hill. You guys know how much of a beast Tyreek Hill is. He took one back. Wendell Smallwood, the rookie, took one back. And then punt returns. Tavon Austin, the only guy to get 2 returns on anything this year, I believe. Actually, yeah, the only guy to get 2 returns. The do everything guy, Ty Montgomery, got 1. And you guys see the returns. You guys saw Tyler Lockett, our boy, got 1. Tavon Austin leading the league in rushing yardage and all that. And that is the statistics, man. That's all we got right there. Now, before we go into the yearly awards, I want to show you guys the weekly awards really quick. Actually, we're going to look at the team statistics really quickly. But how about Trevor Boykin right there? That's a player of the week for a rookie quarterback making his first career start. Not bad, not bad. And then last week you guys saw Richard Sherman, beast, and that ended up getting him a defensive player of the week award. Julio Jones got it in a loss. Melvin Gordon and Will Hill in a win. And then the Titans had 2 guys get it in a loss. Apparently, if you lose, you still get a award. The Packers guy got in a loss as well. But we're going to go to the team stats right now. Haven't shown these pretty much all season, so this is going to be a pretty good look. Total yardage is a little bit misleading because it's return yardage and all that. The offensive yardage is a little bit more something you look at, though. The Patriots led the league as we look down the list. Some guys did not move the ball as well as other people, including us, apparently. You would think the team that went 15-1 would be down there, but hey, we've relied on our defense a lot. Our defense got a lot of touchdowns and stuff like that. We kind of let them carry us. The passing, you guys saw the passing yardage and stuff like that, so that's pretty indicative. You don't have to read too much into that. The Browns, by far, with the best ground attack. And you guys see the guys who had a great ground attack. These are all playoff teams right here. The first non-playoff team, the Chicago Bears, but everyone else there, playoff teams. So you got a good ground game, especially in this league. You're doing pretty good. Or you could be like the Seahawks. We're like the lone exception that cannot rush the football but still made the playoffs. Points per game, the most prolific offenses. The Eagles are up there. The Raiders, once again, all teams that made the playoffs. Panthers, Chiefs, Lions, Chargers, Seahawks, even Patriots. The first team that didn't make it was the 9-7 Cincinnati Bengals. Passing touchdowns and rushing touchdowns. Don't got to look too much into that. Apparently the Panthers, even when Jonathan Stewart wasn't running the football, got a lot of those touchdowns. The Patriots got the most first downs in the league with, of course, Gronkowski and Julian Edelman there. You know, something you would expect. Now, defense, this is where we shine. This is where the Seattle Seahawks shine. By far, the least amount of yardage allowed in the league as we keep on scrolling down. You guys see a lot of playoff teams at the top of that list, and then we get to the bottom, and you see the reason why some of these teams didn't make the playoffs. So the Lions, pretty impressively, despite not so great defense, did somehow make the playoffs. And they gave up by far the most passing yards. We gave up by far the least amount of passing yards. Yeah, so that's pretty good right there. And then the rushing yardage, we also ended up at the bottom by 10 over the Vikings. So that's a dominant effort by that Seahawks defense. Meanwhile, the Redskins, they allowed the all-time record for rushing yardage against them, it looks like. Points allowed, once again, we're by far the lowest, doing big things. The Browns down there as well. The Browns had a great, controlling offense where they didn't allow a lot of points. They rushed the ball very well. Smart football, that's what gets you places in this league. And that's why they're in the AFC Championship game. What also could get you there is getting a lot of sacks. The Eagles did it, the Seahawks did it, the Raiders, a lot of guys that made the playoffs. The Rams are kind of like the anomaly. They had one of the best defenses, but one of the worst offenses in the league, as you guys saw. And then the forced fumbles out here, or at least fumble recoveries. The Vikings led the leagues in that. The Panthers, Eagles, I believe we're pretty down there with the Seahawks, not too bad. And then some guys, didn't have too much luck. The Patriots only got 2 all season, not too well of a thing right there. And then interceptions, this can also get you places right here. Browns, Seahawks, Eagles, once again, you see the Raiders, the common theme that the best teams in the league lead in all these kind of stats. Don't throw a lot of turnovers and force a lot of turnovers. You guys will see in the turnover differential that'll definitely show up. Third down conversion, a pretty interesting stat. The Eagles convert on over half their third down conversions. That's by far the best in the league, and that's definitely something that's very important. That keeps the drives alive and all of that. Keeps the defenses from getting some rest. You guys look down. We're actually pretty low right here. 40%, 41%. Not too great. I feel like we're a little bit better than that, but that's what the stats say. So, a fourth down conversion, it looks like the Patriots were the best in that. Not really too much to read into fourth down conversions or 2-point conversions as well. I don't think we converted our I don't think we attempted 1 2-point conversion all season long. As we look at the red zone efficiency, now the most attempts is actually by us. So we made a lot of trips into the red zone. We didn't have a prolific offense. You guys didn't see us lighting it up in those statistics, but We got a lot of turnovers that gave us these red zone opportunities, and we also ended up with the most passing touchdowns in the red zone. You guys see the Eagles were also up there. Field goals, apparently the Chiefs got to do a little bit better job of converting. That might have been why they lost their playoff game. I don't know. But as far as efficiency, you guys see the Browns have the best efficiency. Seahawks up there. And that's another thing, man. You're efficient in the red zone. You don't turn the ball over in the red zone. You get those guaranteed points. It'll help you make the playoffs. Once again, a lot of playoff teams at the top of this list are always teams with good records. And then you check the bottom, Niners, Colts, teams that didn't do too well. Look at all these bad records. So definitely a little lesson for you guys. You know, you're playing Madden. Just don't turn it over in the red zone. Get your points and, you know, play some defense and stuff like that. And then the red zone attempts for the defensive side, by far we were the least, as you would expect. Best defense in the league, least amount of red zone trips. We didn't even allow a red zone trip until like week 4 or something like that. We allowed the least passing touchdowns and rushing touchdowns. The Bills just we're on top of everything. The Bills were not too good defensively, as you guys can see. I believe we played the Bills in the regular season and it didn't go too well for them, from what I remember. But red zone points percentage, you want to be at the bottom, that's not the top. And once again, playoff teams at the bottom here are always teams with good records for the most part. So now we go over to the penalties, which, you know, we're not going to spend too much time on. The Cowboys apparently committed a lot of penalties. Cardinals a lot of yardage. We're down here. We didn't really commit too many penalties, and all of our penalties really came on special teams, not really on offense. So pretty clean football for the Seahawks. I really don't know what the whole thing about getting called for penalties is in CFM. I don't know, that's just a luck thing. Maybe we just got lucky and didn't get called for many. But now we're gonna go over to the turnover differential, where you guys see the Browns plus 41. Like I said, great controlling offense. The Eagles do the same, control the game, control the pace of the game. The Chiefs didn't throw many interceptions at all, only 10, which is one of the lowest, actually the lowest in the league. So, you know, don't turn the football over. Meanwhile, you're the Rams and the Redskins and all these guys. You just, you know, can't force those throws and stuff like that. It could cost you games. It could cost you a potential playoff spot. That's definitely what happened. So you guys see that fumbles lost. I think I just showed the differential twice, but that's just a little bit of a lucky stat right there. Sometimes you lose fumbles because you hold on to the ball too long. Sometimes you just end up like us and we lose a lot of fumbles. And there's not really too much of a trend where, you know, whether you do good or bad in fumbles lost. It's just a little bit of a luck stat, though. You will see like the Chiefs or the bottom here, the Eagles. They didn't lose a lot of the Patriots. They didn't lose a lot of fumbles, so that definitely helps that you don't lose those possessions and stuff like that. And then takeaways. The Eagles by far had the ball hawking defense out there. The Dolphins had a great defense as well, forcing a lot of turnovers. Of course, the Seahawks defense had to be up there. You know, we had to be up there. And then the Bills, they just didn't do much defensively, right? It looks like the Bills are at the top of all the raw statistics defensively. The Jets are down here, the Bucks, all guys with bad records, the 49ers. Takeaways on the interceptions, the Eagles are on top. The Dolphins 9-7, pretty good season, didn't make the playoffs. Like, their defense was pretty good. It was like their offense let them down. And then the fumble recoveries, a little bit of a random stat once again. We're pretty up there. The Eagles are up there, Panthers are up there, Raiders up there, and then in the bottom, you know, the Patriots made the playoffs, the Titans made the playoffs, Chiefs made the playoffs. So those stats don't really mean too much. So we're gonna transition now to, I believe this is the final part of our little show right here, the yearly awards. We're gonna look at all the yearly awards for each conference, starting off with the MVP. Isaiah Crowell ended up snagging it from Jonathan Stewart, making a late push. Murray tried to make a late push. He ended up short. Carson Wentz and Wendell Smallwood might have blocked each other from one of these rookies getting the MVP award. One would have tried to outshine the other a little bit more. Our boy Russell Wilson ended up 7th. We're not trying to get MVP with Russell Wilson, so him getting in the top 10, pretty good, and a little bit of an indication of how good our team was, not necessarily our quarterback. Now, oddly enough, Coach of the Year actually went to one of the coaches that did not win their conference. I really don't know how that one works. I don't know how they decide Coach of the Year at all in this game. Myself and the Eagles, we ended up with the same exact record. They gave Pete Carroll Coach of the Year. That's cool though. I'll take it. Pete Carroll, he has a lot of legacy points compared to these guys. So, shout to Pete Carroll, whatever he did over, what's his face, Doug Peterson. Now we're gonna check the AFC Awards, starting off with the Offensive Player of the Year. Obviously, Isaiah Crowell will be number 1. How about Derrick Henry, the rookie, ending up on top of that list with number 5. Le'Veon Bell, number 10. Tyrod Taylor. In case you guys didn't know, Tyrod Taylor and Alex Smith, there was a trade that sent Alex Smith to the Bills and Tyrod Taylor to the Chiefs, and the guy with the Chiefs definitely doing pretty good with Tyrod. Defensive Player of the Year on the AFC side, Bruce Irvin and Khalil Mack and Reggie Nelson. How about the Raiders having the top 3 players? Now that's a good defense. And then the Chiefs, Eric Berry and Rameek Wilson, don't even know what position he plays, to be honest, ended up there. And you guys will see a lot of playoff teams. I believe every single spot here besides the Dolphins and Rashad Jones were playoff teams. Now we go to Offensive Rookie of the Year, where Derrick Henry definitely deserving of that award based on what we saw from the statistics. Tyreek Hill making a run out there, number 3, and then it gets a little bit dicey. Okay, I couldn't tell you why Percy Harvin is number 10. All right, that's definitely not right. I don't know. I believe the guy who had Percy Harvin might have changed his position to running back. That might be why he's a rookie considered. I don't know. Otherwise, how he would make it there. But then defensive player of the year, Joey Bosa. That's no doubt about it. The amount of sacks he had, you guys look down. Some good rookie years around the league. Shaq Lawson, who didn't really play for the Bills in real life. Best quarterback, Tyrod Taylor. Didn't throw the most touchdowns or anything like that, but didn't turn it over, and that's definitely worth noting. That'll put you over guys like Andy Dalton, who just turned it over like a machine. Robert Griffin III is the quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, in case you were wondering who is spearheading that attack. That's, not the running back. That's obviously Isaiah Crowell gets the best running back award. So that'll give you guys that. We're going to scroll down. The best receivers and all that. Amari Cooper beat AJ Green, believe it or not, even though AJ Green had the better statistics. Amari Cooper had the better per game statistics. That might have helped him out. Best offensive line. I really don't know how they decide this award, but the Joe Thomas ended up getting it. Good for him. Defensive line award, Khalil Mack. He got a lot of sacks, definitely deserving of the award. Markevius Mingo, who led the league in interceptions, sacks ended up second. I don't know how they decide that once again. Maybe Mack had more tackles for loss that ended up accumulating. Bruce Irvin, Ramik Wilson. I guess he's a linebacker. The more you know, right? So, once again, a lot of playoff teams on the top of this list. And then Miles Jack on the Jaguars. A little bit of a pleasant surprise right there. That dude, I had Miles Jack at an 86 overall. So Miles Jack ended up progressing a lot. You guys can see the overalls of some of these players as I'm scrolling through them. Some of these guys, definitely using XP on their players. As you see, Joe Hayden, the best defensive back. Joe Hayden had a little bit of an off year in real life, but in Madden, doing pretty good, as well as some other guys from the Cleveland Browns. Jason Verrett, who got injured early on for the Chargers. In real life, doing really good in Madden. The best kicker goes to Brandon McManus, who had a little bit of a rough year in real life, but I guess he made a lot of field goals. The guy with the Broncos had that all Madden kicking meter down. As we go to the NFC side, they come out with all these awards for conferences and not the NFL. I don't know why. Maybe to get more people XP and stuff like that, more people chances to get awards. I don't really know. But offensive player of the year ended up going to Jonathan Stewart. Wendell Smallwood in his rookie year almost got there. Jeremy Langford for the not so good Chicago Bears got up there. And how about Adrian Peterson, still doing his thing for the Minnesota Vikings, still almost got them to the playoffs once again this year. Defensive player of the year, Jordan Hicks, outstanding. And then Mike Morgan came so close, second place. That would have been really nice if we could have gotten him a defensive player of the year award, but you guys see a lot of Eagles are on this list. I believe half this freaking list is Philadelphia Eagles. So the Eagles defense, definitely a standout on why they got these things. But in general, you guys will see a lot of Eagles just won awards, period. Offensive rookie of the year, those two Eagles, the two Cowboys are up here. Ezekiel Elliott was injured. That's why he wasn't up there. CJ Procise, more of a backup for us. Started a couple of games when Thomas Rawls was hurt. Ended up getting top 10. That's not bad. Perkins, who you guys almost got 1,000 yards. Pretty good stuff right there. And then the defensive rookie year, Blake Martinez. Don't really know. I guess he's a linebacker and stuff like that. Don't really know much about him. But Tua Cravens didn't get the defensive rookie of the year, considering the great year he had. See some Giants up there. A Giant trying to develop some guys. Kerry Hyder ended up there. Kerry Hyder got a sack against us in the divisional round of the playoffs. Devondre Campbell. There's a lot of great young guys in that Falcons defense. I'm surprised only one of them was able to crack the top 10. Best quarterback, Matt Stafford ended up on top here. Even though Carson Wentz and Russell Wilson were ahead in the MVP race, somehow Matt Stafford won best quarterback. How do they determine these awards? I don't really know, alright? So now you check the best running back, Jonathan Stewart, obviously deserving of that award, looking down the list. Definitely no Seahawks down there at all. The wide receiver position, unfortunately, there's no best tight end award. I feel like Jimmy Graham would have been up there in that discussion. Instead, the best receiver, Vincent Jackson on the Rams somehow ended up there. I really don't know how. Martavis Bryant, I guess, had a good year. Odell ended up getting the award in the NFC, even though he and Dez Bryant both had losing records. Now, best offensive lineman, once again, don't know how to decide this one, but the Eagles have the top 3 best offensive linemen in the league. That's kind of scary, man. We put the Eagles in the NFC Championship. It's kind of scary. And then the Cowboys, you would expect them to have guys up there. They have like 2 or 3 guys. The Packers, you would expect that best defense line. Once again, the Eagles are all over these awards, man. We're kind of creeping there with number 4 with Cliff Averill, but the Ezekiel Ansah, the Lions right there, but a lot of Eagles up there. That's definitely going to be the theme. Once again, Eagles not getting first, they're getting second. Luke Kuechly had 14 interceptions, so he's definitely the best linebacker around the league. Ryan Cushing apparently had a comeback year. He might be, there's no comeback player of the year award in this thing, but Ryan Cushing might have to be that guy. He had a lot of interceptions, third on this list. Who knows how? Sean Lee's up there. Bobby Wagner, you see, linebacking, a lot of our great linebackers up there. Wagner, Wright, and all that showing up. And then defensive backs, you guys, I believe not one of the Seahawks made this list just because we didn't have one guy with like 20 interceptions, I guess. But some Giants made it, some Cowboys, Eagles on top once again with Nolan Carroll, a little bit of Trey Boston in there, Ricardo Allen. Now we go to the best kicker. And I'm really salty about this one, man. I am really salty that Steven Hauschka did not win best kicker. Like, what more can you ask from the man? Maybe because we missed that kick in the last week of the regular season that he didn't win the award over Mason Crosby. This man hit a game-winning field goal in a game. I'm really salty about this one, man. I don't care about any of these awards except for this kicking one, man, because I felt like I was on my game kicking those goddamn kicks, but they kind of robbed us there, man, not gonna lie. So coaching, I don't think this is worth looking at all, but that is pretty much gonna do it for the regular season show right here. I don't think there's anything else to really look at. I mean, we could look at injuries or whatever, but that's not really worth looking at. You guys can see our depth chart, whatever that's worth, but that'll pretty much do it. I guess I can show you guys the wildcard weekend results, because I don't think I showed that at all, so you guys can look at that really quick. But yeah, I'll pretty much do it for the show, man. Hope you guys leave like a video if you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe for more Madden 17 and, you know, the CFM, whatever you guys like. And time for the conference championship, man. Big weekend here for all these teams. And then, of course, after that, you know, the season doesn't end, and the season ending doesn't mean the series ends. We have the free agency, we have to re-sign guys and all that, figure out what we're going to do, and then, of course, the NFL draft. So, even though the playoffs are coming to a close, there's a lot to look forward to with this CFM. We're not a one-hit wonder, man. We're out here in the long haul trying to get the Seahawks multiple championships, trying to continue building on what's already a great start for us, already a great roster, try to continue building that roster. We've been doing our scouting and all that, so I don't know how exactly I'm going to be putting out videos during the off-season. I might do 1, 2, maybe 3 videos recapping the off-season. The NFL draft might get live streamed somewhere. Maybe ScoMo might live stream it. I don't really know. I'll let you guys know what's going on in the off-season at some point. I promise you guys that. Once, you know, whenever our playoff run ends, whether it's this game or during the Super Bowl, I'll give you guys some sort of update at some point during the off-season. The off-season might take a week, maybe 2 weeks to finish, so there might be a little bit of a delay. And then on top of that, there's preseason games, so there might be a little bit of delay after the playoffs end to when we get some new CFM games, but that's just to be expected. That's the off season, but that's just to let you guys know what is going on around the league. So one more time, leave a like and if you guys enjoyed it, subscribe for more, and I'll catch you guys next time.